Hi everybody, welcome to the third section of the React Native course. In this section we'll introduce React Native UI design and its fundamental block, the component. In this section we're going to take a look at the following topics. First of all, we'll create our first usable React Native component. We will use Flexbox to style and lay out our component. We will explain the most important React Native components. We will introduce one of the basic components of any app, the flat list component to display items in a list. And finally, we'll learn how to install third-party components to use in our app. Creating a component. In this video, we'll learn how to create our first React Native component. In this video, we're going to learn how to build our first React Native component. First of all, we'll build the basic blocks of our first component. We'll learn how to inject data to it. And finally, we'll learn how to respond to the user interaction. So let's start with our first component. First of all, let's discuss what we're going to do. We'll build a movie app. It will enable us to search and browse basic information about movies. Our first component is going to be the movie cell. It will contain an image from the movie title, the movie year, and an icon displaying a disclosure indicator. This component is going to be touchable, so it will respond to the user interaction. Let's build our first component. We are going to open a newly created React Native project. We will start this section by creating a new file and importing into the app.js. First of all, we will create the directories where the component will live. I'll do this on VS Code. Okay, now let's create our moviecell.js file. And now let's create the moviecell class. First of all, we will add this annotation to let our flow system that we're going to use flow types. Okay, now we have finished the class. We can remove the default code on app.js and import our newly created component. Okay, now we have our first component created. Let's add some information in that component. We will import two important components from React Native, text and image. Now let's add those components to match our previous design. We're going to have an image here for the movie image. We're going to have the movie title as a text. We're going to have the movie year as another net text. And finally, we're going to have our image for the disclosure indicator. Let's add some static images. Now we can add those images to our image component. Okay, let's refresh our app. Now, this is our first component, but it still doesn't look how we want it to look. Okay, we have used mock information so far. Let's see how we can provide data to our component before styling and making the proper layout. We'll pass this external information to our component using props. We can identify three items we need to pass as external information: the movie image source, the movie title, and the movie year. Let's modify our component to handle that situation. We'll use some flow to define our props. We're going to define the props of our component. We're going to need an image. We're going to need a title. And we're going to need a year. Let's tell our component that it's going to expect these props. Let's modify our component to handle the props. The disclosure indicator image is not going to be accessed through props because it's going to be a static resource. Okay, now we have to provide those props to our component. Let's add first the title and the year. Let's see how it looks. Okay, let's add an image. Let's see how it looks. Now the component looks like it looked before, but the component now accepts data from outside. Okay, let's add some interactivity to our component. We want to handle the touch press on the cell. We'll use a special React Native component for that called touchable opacity. We have to implement the onPress callback in order to handle the touch event. Every cell has to respond to the touch. In the finished app, this action will navigate from the current screen to the movie detail screen, as expected. Okay, let's add a touchable opacity and catch the onPress event. When the user taps on the movie cell, we will display an alert component in order to show that the action has been handled. Our onPress handle will display an alert and the title of the movie. Okay, let's try our component. As you can see, we have the movie title in the alert text component. In this video we saw how to build a very basic component for our movie app, how we can pass information to our component using props, and how to handle user touch with touchable opacity.